Live from the BoD studio, it is Playin and Slayin, episode number 68. We're getting old, very old.
Yep.
But as we get old, we taste better. So let's talk about what we're going to cover tonight. Speaking of taste, we had a very fancy outing that we all went on. The 2023 Playin and Slayin board game weekender in lovely Oshkosh, Wisconsin, the weekend of
sturgeon spearing,
sturgeon spearfishing on the lake. We're also going to do a little bit of a reveal for our charity army project. And then we're going to do a little bit of a Adepticon teaser trailer. We're not going to cover it too much because we are about a week out. I wanted to record so that all of you fine, wonderful people had something to listen to on your drives to Chicago for Adepticon 2023. And, we'll have some fun. We'll do the usual banter and whatnot, but we are down a man, so we will press on because we love you all and we want you to hear fun and enjoyable things. When you are playing and slaying, it is important to stay hydrated. Let's talk a little bit about what we are drinking. Troy, I'm going to start with you. Hopefully it's not water.
I do have Liquid Death, but I also have...
That's water. Oh, that's not water.
No, I have Fat Tire, Amber Ale, New Belgium Brewing. We bought this, a little foreshadowing. We bought this in Oshkosh. It's been in my fridge since the weekender that we didn't finish up. So yeah, well, maybe we'll add that to the story of the one time we stepped out of the house in the 48 hours that we were there. So
we were busy. Joshua, what are you drinking tonight, sir?
I have a little tip of the cap to Will Conway, a black cherry Zevia. Ooh, baby. It is really good. The black cherry is very good.
Hopefully we get to tell Will all about that here in a few short days. So I'm doing an experiment on how old of a barrel-aged can of beer can you drink and still be okay, with a 2021 Mystic Knot from Third Space. It's their limited release they do every year right around St. Patrick's Day. It's a bourbon barrel-aged Irish cream stout or Irish stout. It tastes a little bit boozier than I remember it being, but that, I don't know. But it still has it's very full of flavor and it's very good. But it does taste a little more boozy than I recall, because I missed the pre-order for this year's, and luckily found this one in the back of the fridge. So was still able right around St. Patrick's Day to have a Mystic Knot and set a calendar reminder for next year so I don't miss it.
For more shows like this, check out the Goonhammer Media Network. More info at media.goonhammer.com.
All right, so let's get into the banter. Here we go. What have we been playing? We're obviously going to talk a little bit about what we played at the Weekender, but we will probably save some of that for our next episode for reasons to be revealed later. So I'm going to leave out what we played at the Weekender for now and just talk about some of the gaming that we've been doing since then. So I'll get started. We... Nicole, my wife, and I, and Landon went over to Paul and Jen's, the DKs, and had a family game night a couple weeks ago where we all played with their children and our kid. We played Zombicide Dead or Alive, so the Old West Zombicide. We did the first scenario with the wagon and the Gatling gun, and then the second scenario is like a zombie train mission, which is where you're on the zombie train, or you're trying to get the zombies off the train that's pulled in the town. Narrowly lost the first one. We had one zombie on the train as it pulled out of town that we just couldn't finish off, and then narrowly won the second mission, and realized the key to this game not being too hard is having 6 heroes. Like, it is clear that every mission is tuned for having 6 heroes. And if you try to play with like 3 or 4, you're foolish and you're gonna die.
Nice.
And then we've kept the saga of the Frosthaven 5 going. Played a couple game nights of Frosthaven with John and both of you guys over at Josh's house, where we can leave it set up on the gaming table, which has been pretty helpful. One of these nights we'll get through 2 scenarios instead of just one. But we've done that a couple times, and Frosthaven is one that we played quite a bit at the Weekender. So we want to talk. We kind of, I think, want to do a full review. So I'm not going to talk too much about it here, because I think that warrants kind of a larger discussion with the full group.
Yeah.
Yep. And although I think we should talk about this trick of, I think having it has its own dedicated table at Josh's now is probably a really a really good thing that's going to keep us playing it right more often. So I guess we're going to recommend that as a tip for anybody that has their Frosthaven out there.
It is nice. We don't have to set it all back up, and everything's right there, and it's great.
Well, the setup, between setup and like cleanup, you're talking about an extra hour to your night, like between putting it down and opening everything and getting it all squared away, and then putting it all away in the right spot at the end of the night. If you can't just leave it out, is a chore. What about you guys? Have you been doing any gaming outside of our Frosthaven nights?
I played Sushi Go with the kids. That's a fun one. Like, it's pretty fun and easy to pick up, and yeah, they had fun. It was the older two, because the little one's not quite there yet. She doesn't quite get it, but yeah, the older two were able to pick it up pretty quick, so that's good.
Going for that nigiri and the chopsticks to be able to pick an extra card and collect the wasabi.
Yep, a lot of fun.
Troy, how about you? I see a game title I don't recognize.
So yeah, the only game I've been getting out has been a game that was recommended to me by Mike Halsey, old friend of the show and a coworker of mine out there. And he recommended, in random, we were kind of chatting because he's actually not local anymore. He's been working kind of remotely, but we were chatting and he said, "Oh, you got to play this game called Outnumbered Improbable Heroes." He said, "Oh, I think you and Sarah, your daughter, will like it." And it is, and I got it, and we've tried it out. And one is it's a underhanded way of me getting Sarah to practice more math. But I have fun, and we've played a couple times, and I think she's enjoying it, which is good, right? That's kind of I was hoping to get this kind of magic thing, right? Like, oh, she doesn't, you don't realize that you're doing math, right? Or you're having to practice some math or that. But so it's basically a tower defense game in that you have kind of it's card based tower defense. You want to think a board, the villains, which are cards, and they all have, guess what? They have numbers on them on the top, about 5 of them. And then you basically have a hero, and each hero has, and then heroes, and the basic mechanics are there's 3 dice. You roll 3 6-sideds. You can either add, subtract, or square or multiply the numbers, any of the numbers together, and to generate another set of numbers. And then and that helps you remove the cards off, right? And then the cards just kind of come marching down. There's about 5 or 6 rows, and then basically your secret base or whatever they're attacking is at the bottom, and then there's like some barricades, so you can they can get through once, but if they make it twice down a column, then you lose. And so that's really about it. But it's kind of fun. It's kind of like each turn is a puzzle. I rolled 3 dice, and then I have a set of numbers on the board, and then and anywhere from simple, they can be a 1 or a 2, and then you can actually, in the deck, you can add like levels of difficulty. You can add some like weird prime numbers like 47, 110, 125, right? That'll be our little tougher villains that you can try and wipe out. And so hopefully in your head you can think, well, how do I get that off a 3-1 to 6, right? So again, it just makes you kind of think about it. So I enjoy it too, because we mix in some of the tougher, bigger numbers and that. But even then, there's strategy. Like, hey, should we take out these 2 guys in this row, or next turn do we take out that? And there's some special spaces on the board that give you some extra bonus powers, so you can, like, hey, you can get rid of an extra guy that's divisible by 3, or and then each of your heroes, there's about, I think, 6 different heroes you can choose from, and each of them has a kind of a special power too. So like one hero is like you can add 1 or minus 1 to a number that you're saying. Another one says, oh, you can flip over one of the dice to the opposite face to that. So it gives you more kind of combinations to figure out some of that. So again, pretty simple, but again, I'm enjoying it. I can play it with Sarah, and she's having to do some math practice along the way. So that's outnumbered. I got to thank Mike for it. Yeah, it was a really good suggestion to do so.
Nice. Next up for math practice that's hidden within a game, you can bust out 2nd edition Dungeons and Dragons and try to figure out THACO.
Oh.
All right. So obviously the Weekender, we played a lot of other games. We'll talk about that in a future episode. Let's move into hobby. We're kind of in the pre-Adepticon scramble. Some of us, others are just continuing the paint stuff because it's fun. But I'd say the hobby flame has kind of been reignited since the Weekender, even leading up to that and going forward. So, Troy, what's going on? I think I see some terrain for Space Hulk behind you. Has it been all Space Hulk all the time?
Yeah, I don't know if I can get. I should just do a drive around. There we go. So there's the 12x6 table behind me for people that are on YouTube that can see that's been working on. So I know I had talked about a lot. Like one of my goals was to actually do some 3D modeling and then make a 3D model and then print it out. I kind of accomplished that. I used this as a reason to do that. So I kind of learned some more simple. I tried out with harder 3D modeling programs and realized I didn't need to, and I found some simpler ones that work better. But basically, I redid all we have a 2nd level of Space Hulk, and we have little stands, and so I'm like, I really wanted to do something a little bit cooler for those. So I took an existing kind of model that I had found, took the STL, modified it to fit the size we needed to work with the pieces, and then had the 3D printers running kind of nonstop for about a week or so, and generated. And then I think I had some pictures out. I don't know how many I did. There's probably about 40 or 50 different models that we made, and I just quickly painted those up, and they're on here, back here, there. So that's our kind of just upgrade a little bit on the map this year. We didn't do a whole lot different than what we did, but that was it. So so that was 3D modeling, and then I've had a few, painted up. I think a Blood Angels Lieutenant model, Terminator model, and then I painted up 3 kind of mini boss heroes that are some big Tyranid guys. So there's like a Lictor, Death Leaper, and then 2 Raveners that were actually like from Ty's basement, probably about, I don't know, they might be older than a lot of our kids.
Most certainly are. Yeah.
So, but they came out good. Yeah, I didn't even reprime them, David. So who knows when that primer went on them, but we did that. So that's been, I think I'm at the end. Now I just have a lot. Now it's the logic puzzle of figuring out how we're gonna like pack everything up and get everything, and then remember and leave all our instructions and stuff. And I got to print out some paper and instructions and rules and things like that. But I don't know if that's not quite hobby, but I think most of the hobby stuff's done.
I think event prep is hobby. If acquisition is hobby, event prep is hobby.
For sure.
All right. Speaking of acquisition, Troy, any purchases, or are you saving that for Adepticon?
I'll hit on some other stuff. I did get and maybe I'll save it for another time. I did get something off the Hasbro site, a D&D game, and I haven't really looked at it. Just kind of, again, it was a total impulse buy. They had like a D&D escape room game, if you've seen that. I think it's on Hasbro Pulse.
Okay.
So I just like, oh, let's kind of do it. So I pulled the trigger on that. It happened to come. It always says it came pretty quick. But I haven't had time to even look at it. So maybe in the future we'll break that out. It looked interesting enough. If you can just say, hey, it's like supposedly it's like 3 90-minute escape rooms, D&D based, so you have
it's
like some
still going to be more fun than True Dungeon.
We will see. We'll see. It could be.
It's just rude. That was just rude.
They say comics you shouldn't punch down. I feel like at this point I'm just punching down with the True Dungeon experience.
Ouch.
And
speaking of punching down, Josh, what kind of hobby have you been doing?
So yeah, after the Weekender, the hobby bug for MCP was kind of flowing. So I built and primed Black Widow and Toad, and started painting Magneto, and I finished up Iron Man. So he's officially done. So
and what cool hobby technique did you experiment with?
Yeah, so I hadn't really done OSL, so object source lighting. I mean, the Iron Man's, the reactor, the glow, right? You almost kind of need it. So I was like, okay, let's play with it. Let's try something. And it didn't quite work out. And then I went into the Discord and was kind of pinging folk, or like kind of threw it out there to the group, and everybody had some good suggestions. And so yeah, I came back, and now it looks a lot better. And I'm actually really happy with the way it looks now. So yeah, he turned out pretty cool. I'm happy with him. So
nice. Any 3D prints going?
Yeah, a little bit here and there. I had to pause any kind of fun 3D printing. Actually, I printed a horse for my daughter. She needed a little hobby horse for school, and she was like, "Hey, could you find something that you could print?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we could figure it out." So the print didn't quite work because there were some layers that weren't connected. Like somebody put it out there and never tested it, right? So I had to like mess around with putting extra supports in, and yeah, we finally got it. Like, I printed it like 4 or 5 times before it actually like printed successfully. So yeah, it was a little derailed this week with printing fun stuff instead of printing this weird horse.
Now you're all set though for the My Little Pony miniatures game.
Yeah, for sure. We got the horse, so we're good to go.
I don't know if you're being serious or not, Ty, but My Little Pony RPG license has moved over to Renegade. It used to be with was it River, whatever the one is. Used to be whatever I can't think what the name is, the River one. But now, yeah, Renegade just picked it up and they're re-releasing it. So if you want to jump in,
let's go. Let's go. I can't wait.
Twilight Sparkle.
Still rather play that than do True Dungeon.
Harsh, man. Yeah. I didn't know this was going to be a hate on True Dungeon episode.
Oh, well, I mean, I didn't either, but sometimes, when an
opportunities present themselves,
Yeah. You got to carp the DM, right?
Yeah, all the DMs.
So I have been doing a lot of painting in the last several weeks. I started by painting 75 or so zombies for the Weekender for Zombicide Undead or Alive. So I kind of did like a zenithal, sprayed black, and then I didn't use the airbrush. The zenithal, I dry brushed up the grays and did a model wash. Did far more than I probably should have for board game miniatures to prepare them for painting, and then painted them using pretty much all contrast, some scale instant paints, and then some technical blood effects, blood for the blood god from GW. But kind of did those zombies, nice dirty old west zombies, and I did some historical research to see what cavalry soldiers wore, what colors, and I learned they had yellow scarves in the 1870s. So give the Union blue, some of the runners with a yellow scarf, which hopefully the historical miniature guys out there don't fact check me, because maybe my Wikipedia search was wrong. But Um,
Oh, they good.
and then Bryce painted up for the heroes and the abomination, so he could play fully painted at the Weekender. And then I did a little bit of Crisis Protocol here and there. I started working on like Magneto's terrain, and I assembled and primed Zenithal Prime Toad. Worked on Magneto a little bit. Assembled Rocket. I found him, and like he basically fell out of a box as I was like pulling cards, so I put him together. And then I've been working on 1,000 points of Slaves to Darkness stuff for the team tournament, trying to paint 1,000 points in roughly 10 days because, you know, nothing like a deadline and procrastination to put out good quality product. So coined the phrase sloppy choppy. So I Zenithal primed and had every intention of contrast only, but then decided because I'm an idiot to not do all contrast. So I started doing like highlights and blending and kind of a contrast base in some parts of the model, and then worked up from there. So sloppy choppy.
Yep. And maybe that's our whole, maybe we get Bryce on, but I'd love to dive into the sloppy choppy. And I don't know, maybe, and I just have this thing around, I know how slap chop kind of like was very viral, but I was always kind of like, really? I feel like we've been doing this, like,
Yeah.
right? Like, I don't know why people all of a sudden thought it was the newest thing since sliced bread, right? And whatever. So I was kind of laughing. I think sloppy choppy, let's take it back, kind of own it back. Because I think we've been doing those techniques in some way. And I totally agree with I still find that I'm like, I'll do a contrast as a base, but you're always like, I want a little bit, like I'll still pull a washout or I'll still do a dry brush highlight, right? Like there's still like a little, like that mix of things that together. And maybe that's what let's figure out maybe we don't need to, maybe we don't need a definition for sloppy choppy, but maybe we can give it an area of what that really is. But
yeah, I'm an idiot though. Like I've been going nuts with working up highlights on like the jade weapons and like going with not only the snakebite leather, but then dry brushing and painting some wear and tear on leather and like the armor. I'm doing like the base red and then I blended up like highlights and some part. Like I'm taking way too long to paint 10 models that I thought I could have done in 10 days.
But it's fun. That's because you get sucked in. I'm the same way with, again, as I've been doing procrastinating, getting all the Space Hulk stuff done. I will find a niche of something that I really kind of like, oh, I can explore this. Like it's been like, some of it has been just like AI artwork. Like, oh, I really want kind of an interesting picture. Let me spend half a day playing around with AI artwork generation to find the picture, to generate the picture that I like, and going down a rabbit hole and things like that. So I can definitely feel you, Ty. Like it's just like that's how we do this, because we like to do these little things, and even though we should be just doing the job in front of us, it's a hobby, and so it needs to stay fun. So
absolutely, and like, you know, a Vanguard model that took me 4 hours to paint, that's not bad. Like,
right.
Would I have preferred to do it in like an hour? Absolutely, but there's so much trim on those Vanguard. It's insane.
Yep.
But yeah, and then unboxing and prepping Frosthaven was some hobby time. That was about a 4-hour evening of getting that ready. So I threw that in my hobby progress as well.
It counts.
It does. I think, that is I don't know, is it what do you want to call it? Like it's under recognized as effort and hobby, whatever. It is the whole prep of board games, like, right?
Unboxing, learning the rules, getting things set up, like organized so you know where stuff's at, and
figuring out the storage if you need like extra bits or bins or whatever.
And I'm a big, like, even I did Outnumbered, because I know who's going to be playing it. I sleeved all the cards, right? I found found some card sleeves I had. Did that. I think it's underappreciated as the amount of work that we put into kind of getting our games ready to play, which is people would actually probably think that's crazy, but it's part of the hobby.
Yeah. Yeah, if we weren't a family show, I'd have some comments for people thinking that. But
We're a family show.
we're a family show. I'm actually going to skip past what I have here in the show notes and revisit that. But let's talk crowdfunding. I'm excited. I'm going to start. Day one, I backed the Kickstarter project this week. I'd been tracking it for when it went live for a little bit, and it went live, and I backed it, and I was very excited. Free League Publishing, that does Mutant Year Zero, Forbidden Lands, Alien RPG, amongst others, Vaesen, Morkborg. I mean, just they keep releasing really good products. Got the license to The Walking Dead, the television show. So it's not the comics, but it's the TV show license, is how I understand it. And they're releasing a Walking Dead role-playing game, kind of using their D6 system with, like base building mechanics and kind of character archetypes. And in the starter set, they're giving you like the map of Atlanta, and it looks like a pretty cool role-playing game. And what else is really cool, I don't know, I'd have to double check the release date, but it's pretty much done. And it sounds like they did the Kickstarter more as like, let's get it printed, but the development and a lot of the art and the writing is all kind of done. So in a few weeks after the Kickstarter closes, they're going to be sending out PDFs as kind of like beta testing to all of the backers. So like it'll be kind of, they'll go through that, then they'll probably go to print and publish I'd imagine at some point towards maybe the end of this year, fall. I don't know, but not a very long lead time, which is really exciting. And I think it'll fit that niche of zombie games when I'm not feeling like the crunchy simulation complexity of Outbreak Undead, but able to do like a few shorter low prep games. And I think the rule set looks like, the One Ring. So they have like the Tolkien IP, and it looks like it follows similar kind of Mutant Year Zero, Forbidden Lands D6 based system. So should be pretty cool.
Yeah, it looked, again, Free League has just been knocking out of the park. And they are also they are the big sponsor for Gamehole Con, I think, right, this year too. So they had a pretty big presence there last year, and I think I saw that they're like the big sponsor, one of the very big sponsors there. So yeah, like I have I have a whole shelf full of the Alien RPG stuff that we haven't really played, but it's fun. It's fun to read because they've done a great job on that.
So in Hobby Banter, I think right before you hopped on, Troy, Raph and I were chatting about Between the Sheets. And because he said, you don't have to buy all these. You could probably find a way to get review copies of these games. Because he was talking about getting review copies. And I was like, actually, I've been trying to pitch this show to Troy for a while now, where we do like how to play a game, how to create a character, called Between the Sheets.
Did we just announce it? Did you just announce it? Is that what you just did? We did. Now we're committed.
And Raph is like, well, I don't know that I've got, I definitely don't have time for a podcast, but that would be something I totally want to do. And I think Josh was pitching, like, then you could do like a one-shot actual play or something.
Yep. I think we just announced it. So look, coming in later in 2023.
Basement of Death presents Between the Sheets.
Between the Sheets. We'll have at least a pilot episode.
It's such a good name. It's such a good name. It has to happen.
And I'll just tell everybody I already trademarked it. That way they don't try and do it. So.
All right. What else have you been kickstarting?
So I'm trying to think if I don't know. You know what? So I don't even remember in my procurement addiction kind of thing. But I was excited, and I wanted to see where your temperament was at or level around the successor to Scythe by Stonemaier Games that was announced. Expeditions is up for pre-order out there, and I don't know. I know again we all liked Scythe for a while. I don't know. It hasn't gotten to the table. It's still a pretty good game in a while, but it was interesting to see that they're going after that. And again, I didn't do a huge deep dive, and I'm sure you can go to many, many places on the internet and see probably a preview play, and I think even Stonemaier has they have some play descriptions out there, but looked interesting. I mean, in some ways, it's cool how they kind of built out that world. Right, it's set in that same world as Scythe. I believe slightly different mechanics around that, but that should be coming this year. Again, something that Stonemaier does a good job of, basically having the game and pretty much in good shape before they announce any kind of pre-order or anything else like that. So you're not waiting for. So I think this went in pre-order in February, and they're saying hopefully it'll be out by a Gen Con type release or very close. So
yeah, and I think what's interesting about this one, if I remember, and I'm pulling up the site, is kind of you have that tile map. It's like exploration, but you're exploring for cards, and then you're building. It's almost like a deck builder with like tile-based exploration. So yeah, interesting concept. I don't know if I'll buy it right away. I will likely with this one wait and just see what reviews are like, because I don't always like deck builders, but it's not a deck build. Like, it's weird. I think it uses that engine. I got to be honest, when I first read kind of about it, I'm like, are they just trying to like rip off Lost Ruins of Arnak? But it's clearly different and set in the Scythe world. But I mean, a lot of common elements, I think, to that style of game.
Yep.
So yeah, it could be interesting. I'll let some of the other maybe Stonemaier will send us a review copy.
There you go. It's on you, Stonemaier.
We'll see. We'll wait. We'll let everybody know. We'll see how that
just
goes.
as an aside to our listeners, we don't get review copies. We're not big enough.
No, we're not that cool.
Nobody knows that we're actually doing a podcast about games.
Except for you, the listener. You're the best. We love you.
So you know that our reviews are not in any way impacted by any kind of material we might receive or any promotional stuff, because we don't get any. So,
but they are impacted by stuff we don't receive.
Yeah, you're right.
See previous episodes.
Yeah. And speaking, that's a good segue. I have some. It's kind of funny after whatever. Probably almost 10 years of doing Kickstarters or whatever. There's been a few, actually, on any other Kickstarters that have completely failed. We're always like non-game kind of stuff, or a couple weird things that I backed over the years. But in kind of, it's interesting. I think it's kind of the economy and everything else has finally completely, well, and we'll even there, I'll put a little caveat on this as I tell the story. So Holy Grail Games, back in 2019, I think, something like that, 2020 time, they have a game called Rallyman, which is a racing game, dice-based mechanic where you basically have you roll dice into what gear you have, and you have to kind of arrange the dice to move. It's kind of an interesting, it's unique in how it does it. A lot of fun around that. We played that. They released Rallyman, or they kickstarted Rallyman Dirt, which is, again, very similar mechanics, but it's kind of rally cars being in kind of a off-road course, kind of different courses and slightly different rules and some of that. So that was 3+ years ago, and every update was some tale of woe around how something was delayed or whatever. The game finally got made, got shipped. What's funny is it's basically sitting in warehouses in Europe and in Canada. For there, but Holy Grail, again, in their lack of whatever we'll say management, maybe basically does not have enough cash to pay the distributors to actually get it out of their warehouse, and so declared bankruptcy in kind of early part of February. So all the games are basically hostage in the distribution centers in there.
We should call those distribution centers and see.
And again, that's my caveat. So I think what will probably happen, what we heard, is that the bankruptcy, because basically once they went into bankruptcy, right, everything's out of their hands. Now it's in the judge's hand. What we heard is that they are working a deal, because the distributor doesn't want it sitting in there in their warehouse, right? I guess they could literally they could probably push it off the dock into the garbage disposal for all they care, right? But I think they can generate some. Basically, they can get their cash back by. I think what they're going to try and do is make it available to the backers to say, hey, if you kick up whatever the company owes us, we'll ship out your game to you. To that. So that's still in. I have not. All I've heard is that could happen. I have not. I did reach out to this distribution center. What I heard is everyone reached out to distribution center and just they got hammered and they kind of said, hold on, we'll figure it out and we'll get back to you around that. So I don't know. I could wait another year. Maybe, who knows, right? How
Where in Europe? Where in Europe?
I don't know where it is in. I don't know where it is in. I want to say they are a French company, so I want to say it's not England. It's on the somewhere in Spain or France or something like that. And then in here, it's in Montreal, I believe, is where the North American ones are set in. So,
all right. So here's what we're going to do. D&D just released the Keys to the Golden Vault, which is 13 heist adventures. We're going to plan a Playin and Slayin board game distribution warehouse heist. We're going to get a wheelman. We're going to get a safe cracker. We're going to get all the right people for the job, and we're going to go liberate Rallyman from the warehouse in Montreal.
Can I be the fixer? I don't know what they do, but it just sounds fun.
For legal reasons, my attorney is telling me that we can't go on the heist.
Oh,
Josh.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Good thing we've got an attorney right in my ear.
So that's where that one. So then what I did basically. Now what's funny is the game. You can actually find the game in retail if you look hard enough, because at the same time it went to the distributors. It also went to a couple distributors also went to retailers for that. So I actually and whether it makes sense or not, I hedged my bets and I actually bought a copy on in retail that I have that I got this week. So after 3 years, I got it, and I probably shouldn't. I didn't even. If I never would have kickstarted it, I would be fine. So there's a cautionary tale there. So we'll see. If I ever get the real ones, I can always just flip them around and sell them probably. Because now it's a game that'll never be printed again probably. Yeah. And so maybe the price will go up. Around that. The other one that's been, again, way back, and I don't even know the dates on this one. And I think, Ty, you owned the game, but I think you might have flipped it, right? The original Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah.
By who said it?
Z-Man did it originally. Did they also
and it's the same design? No, this is our friends at Awaken Realms.
Oh, yeah, you're never going to get that game.
And then, but what's his, who's the designer? If I can, I don't want to butcher it because it's Polish. Trebicek? All I had to say was Polish, right? That's the, so he finally, it was funny, he actually got on the interwebs and put out a video apologizing for how they've effed up that game too. Because it's delayed yet again. And so who knows if it's going to get out this year. And I don't even know, like, maybe they have a date on here. Maybe they're just hiding those because they don't want me to know when they actually did it or started that project.
That's funny.
Yeah, they're doing game. This isn't Kickstarter. This is Game Found, which is that's where Awaken Realms tends to do most of their stuff. But yeah, I can't find a good date. But I feel like I've been waiting for this one for 3+ years too, or something else like that. So, funny at this point, I may just get it and flip it, but who knows, right? You're that. And then my last tale of woe, sorry, this is all Kickstarter, is that, again, as we were at the Weekender, and we went to, what's the game store? I want to get the name wrong.
Adventure Games
in Oshkosh. And there is IAS Vanguard sitting right there on the shelf. Another game that I Kickstarted. And then they I want to say they maybe misled people because they were like, hey, do you want to pay for dual shipping and get your shipping in 2 waves? Because like where you get like the original, we'll send you the box that goes to retail that's sitting on all your retailer shelves right now. When that comes out, or do you want to bundle your shipping? That way it doesn't cost you literally it was like almost $100, I think, to like do to do 2 waves of shipping. Like the difference was like $80 or $90, which, and you're like, oh, well, and they don't and like, well, it kind of makes sense. So like, yeah, when you get all the extra Kickstarter stuff, just send it all together. Right. And whether it's going to take, well, now they're like, it could be another year before you actually get the game shipped to you with the rest of the stuff because the other stuff's delayed. And you're like, if I wouldn't, right. And it's like, if you'd known it would have been a year, well, maybe then you would have like, all right, I'll pay the extra $50-$60 to get the thing to that. So you're like, or at this point, I'm like, maybe I'll just buy the retail game, play it for a year. When the Kickstarter comes, I'll sell it. I don't like,
it's always like, that's a real bummer when, and that used to be something that I would experience a couple times with CMON Kickstarters, because then they'd bring it to Gen Con and have it at retail. Like, that's always just such a feel bad when you see something at retail that you're still waiting on fulfillment. Like,
and even the CMON, I don't feel bad if it's a month. Like it's August, they wanted to get out there. Mine comes in September. If I would have bought it at Gen Con, I wouldn't have played it until then anyway. But,
sure.
And that's what you were thinking. And I think that's where we're all kind of leading here. Like, oh yeah, all right. But a year is completely right. That's a different story.
All right.
Again,
next heist. Next heist. We're gonna make a board game that's about board game heists, like going to distribution centers to liberate lost Kickstarters and shipping containers that have been stuck on boats and canals that turn sideways, and like this is gonna be a thing.
Again, can I be the fixer?
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know what it does, but
so that's good. So I have all I had was Tales of Woe on Kickstarter stuff, and usually things go pretty well. I need to find one that went well, and then we'll talk about that, because I don't want to be all negative. But these are just kind of funny because these have been hanging out for
it's like
for so long. Like they've been
well, like Bryce is still waiting on Marvel Zombies because they had the 2 different options for fulfillment.
Oh yeah, he got stuck in that one. See, I did that one. I did the 2.
He's waiting on the add-ons.
Yep.
And then Awaken Realms, I think he got one of the games after years of waiting, but the other one still is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah. And because I have Marvel Zombies sitting over there.
Yeah.
And again, that one came, but I think CMON was actually fairly like upfront about, hey, here's you will see a difference in your shipping times, and that's what you're paying for, right? Is when you want it. So
all right. Well, let's get out of Kickstarter and into some other cool stuff. So I'm gonna start and then I'll let you go back. But Table War mats, I know you put this up there, but right after the Weekender, having fun playing some Crisis Protocol, bought a one of their 3x3 kind of urban mats that is specifically for like Crisis Protocol or skirmish style games, and it's a back alley, so it's like city blocks with the central like 2x2 is kind of like back alley space, so you could put your buildings up along the outer edges and then have like a big alley in the middle to play in and put your dumpsters and whatever else in. So looked pretty cool. I'm excited to get that one. And then they did a sale, and I bought mine before the sale. I'm guessing Troy, you bought yours during the sale.
I bought mine during the sale, and again, love Table War. I feel like I'm being negative tonight. I don't know why. I hate to be. Love Table War. I always kind of prefer their mats and love to give them business. Love the stuff Todd does with charities, everything else like that. But it's interesting to see, I think, as more, they were kind of the first ones and kind of into the market, if you remember, like way, way back when, right? And I think they were always kind of doing I think, a higher quality product than everybody else, and you can
Yeah.
art stuff. What was interesting is when I bought the sale, I also bought another mat that I previously owned, maybe for Space Hulk. You guys might maybe know which one that is. But what's interesting is when you grabbed it, you're like, this doesn't feel the same as, and John was here, and I'm like, John, feel it. And what's funny is then I was doing all 3D printing. I actually had my micrometer, measuring, because I was doing measuring to figure out what sizes I needed to make the 3D model. And so they're about 20 to 25% thinner than they used to be when I compared the two mats. And unfortunately, this was one sitting there. You can tell because it's taken the one a little bit it was rolled up for so long. Like normally you lay them out within a day, they'd be flat. This one, it's taken almost a week to kind of get some of the ripples and stuff out. No, she'll be fine. And it'll be fine. And I don't want to be anywhere on tableware. I think part of it is right from a price perspective, right? There's so many other people in the market. I think they had to probably kind of be competitive. And how do you get your prices down? Because I think they are very competitive with their prices now. But I think before they used to be a little bit of a premium on that and so forth. So just it was interesting. Again, I don't want to discourage anybody. I still think tableware does some of the best stuff out there, but it's interesting to see how the market has changed over the last because some of the mats I have probably are 5 to 6 years old at least. So
if it matters to you, I have a couple of the same mats you have if you want to swap those out. So let me know.
We're all good. Right. One thing I have is that's the problem. These sales, like, how many mats do I need? You guys have seen, I literally have a rack, right? I have a rack of mats. I'm almost as bad. Brendan probably has more, but I basically could run. I don't know how many table event I could run. I could probably run a dozen table event with all the mats I have.
Nice. And then, so I think I've talked about the podcast and probably the Kickstarter for the role-playing game, The Old Gods of Appalachia. It's like a story. It's like a radio teleplay kind of podcast where they tell Cthulhu in the early 1900s, 1910, 1920 in Appalachia. So like coal mine and the hollers of Kentucky, so on and so forth. They're doing a tour where they'll be doing kind of their narrative show at various theaters. And they're coming to Madison, Wisconsin in a couple weeks on April 8th. And it's at the Barrymore Theater, which I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but the Barrymore is kind of east side of Madison. It's an old, I think it was originally like a vaudeville theater, and then it became kind of like a movie theater, and now it's like musical acts that come through and play, but it's this old kind of just in this almost neighborhood on the east side of town theater. So it'll be pretty cool. So my wife and I are going down there for that show, bought tickets, and like this, they had like a pre-sale section where it's like the upfront rows, and then they released it to general admission, and anything that didn't sell in the pre-sale for the upfront. So like we're like third row, which will be pretty cool.
Awesome.
So that's coming up. Pretty excited for that. So I'm trying to catch up now. I'd fallen a little behind, so I'm trying to catch up on Old Gods, just in case. I think it's a unique story. It's not obviously going to follow sequentially with the podcast, but cool. And then the last thing of note, and Will actually put this up in Discord, but I saw it elsewhere. Like, imagine being the person that buys a collector booster box and then plays this card, not realizing that it's a one of one. So Magic is doing a Lord of the Rings set here in the next, I think, couple months. I think it's June, and they teased the art for the One Ring, and it's actually a one of one, only going to produce one of them card that will be in a collector booster pack of some variety. So that card is probably going to be ridiculously expensive if the person that gets it realizes what they have and there's a market for it. But pretty cool. I'm almost shocked they are doing it as a true one of one. Like, that's crazy to me.
That's great. Yeah, like what if it sits in the Target in Sturgeon Bay for 10 years, like, right?
Yeah. If nobody claims it, yeah,
Right,
or
yeah,
has it, yeah.
like, yeah.
Or gets put in a bicycle spoke or something, like.
Yeah. Well, I could just
Ah.
see where it never gets bought, right? Like because Magic has such distribution, right? And it's like it's in whatever. I could just see where it's in some big box store or whatever, right? And
Falls off a truck. That's
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's crazy. But we'll see. It'll come up. That or the counterfeit one will show up soon. That'll be the
right. Telling if it's a real the One Ring. If you put it in your deck, you disappear, right? That's how you know it's the real one.
Right.
Yep.
And the ring wraith hunts you.
Cool. And then can I go to this one? I threw this one in here for you guys. And Ty, this is maybe for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you clicked on the link. If you clicked on the link. So Mark, I was seeing this is my old like hometown web newspaper. They were talking about this art project at the Door County Art Museum about some guy who basically made up an island in that's kind of west of Australia, but basically he did everything that, like, he drew up a really cool map, and he basically is an artist, and so he does paintings of different locations, and these are all fictional locations. He basically made up this, and I was just going, does this guy know he just did like a world building? Like, people do this all the time. Maybe Ty, you can get it after him. You can put your world in an art gallery and do a show with all
I need
your
to
stuff.
paint beaches, evidently.
And then you can charge people, like, you should be saying, and he charges people like thousands of dollars to get a painting of a fictional place.
What's ridiculous though is he named it New Island.
right, like I don't want to diminish the guy. I'm sure he doesn't really think, but I'm like, I do. I want
to diminish him.
Like, people do this all the time, and maybe they actually do it better. Like, although his map is pretty, like, his map skills.
He's a talented artist, but like, you wonder why no one told him, hey man, you realize that like there's thousands of role-playing game source books that do this regularly.
Yep.
And he's doing it and maybe that's why he's at a gallery in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, and not LA or New York or Paris.
But Sturgeon Bay is a hotbed. Literally, there's 2 big game stores right downtown which are literally walking distance from. They're like, they are literally like a block and a half away from where the Door County Art Gallery is. So I could basically go over to Gnome Games there, and carry over a few good source books, to some from our friends at Free League, probably, and show them off. So sorry, a real tangent, but I thought there was it was just really interesting.
It was
thing.
It is pretty cool.
And for the listener, we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll definitely put it in the show notes so you can check it out. And then Ty, he's going to start Josh, he's going to start charging us, like, if we want a location in the game, he'd be like, well, that's going to be $100, and then I'll generate it for you, and I'll send you the picture.
I'll AI art generate it.
I'll generate it, but then I'll frame it and send it to you.
Dungeon Alchemist.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And he'll sign it though. He'll sign it for us, and then all right, we should get we should license New Island and do a role playing game and sell it as a source book.
I'll do my first Walking Dead RPG set on New Island.
Yep. Oh, and I didn't touch on, you guys have saw it. I'm on the Hasbro site too much. I bought an Aliens Pulse rifle because they're just really cool. Yeah. And then and that'll be probably this summer. I'll probably be a painting project to make it look like a semi-real Aliens assault rifle. So
a semi-real fictional alien pulse.
Yeah, so you're right. I guess they are fictional, aren't they? Maybe, I don't know. It's real in the movie. There we go.
Real, fake, real.
Yep.
I didn't put that. Man, I feel like we're going forever. This is a good banter. This is what happens when you don't record for 6 weeks. I was at Games Universe the other day buying some paint, and I saw on their kind of new product shelf, it's a Hero Quest. What is it called? Like Heroes collection, I think. The Heroes collection. I didn't know they were doing this, but there was a rogue of something. And you open it up, and there's 2 miniatures. There's some cards, like new rules. They're introducing different character types in the Hero Quest world. So I picked that up, and Landon opened it up, and he's like, "Oh, cool!" So you can cycle it into your games, because they did a few new heroes when they re-released. But I didn't know they were doing this like hero collection. It was like $15 for the the 2 miniatures and the cards.
Yeah, those are also on the Hasbro Pulse site. Don't go on that site. Just don't go. It's bad. There's bad stuff. Because I don't know if I got the Rogue one, but I think I picked up one of those other hero boxes too for Hero Quest. I forgot. It's somewhere over there. So that's it. But yeah, Hasbro Pulse site is terrible. It's like
yeah, it's a good way to spend money that you didn't even know you wanted to spend.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's open up the doors to the library. I feel like I've been reading a ton, and it's because I have. But I'm gonna let one of you guys go first. And I think looking at the list, Josh, you get to go first because you have 1 line, and Troy has 2 lines.
I think all of us are watching Last of Us. So yeah, that amazing, super awesome. Can't say enough good things about it. I am spoiler free, so I'm not gonna dive too much into it, but oh man, so good. Mandalorian season 3 is out. I've been watching that. I actually missed this last episode, so I got to catch up. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoy the Mandalorian. It's fun. I binged the show on Netflix called Physical 100. It is a Korean show, so it's actually dubbed over, which is a little weird, but it's okay. All these folks are like super athletes in Korea, and they like basically they're all competing to be the number one, right? They're all trying to be the best physical specimen.
Do the other competitors die? Is it Squid Game in real life?
I mean, they don't die, but they they all get knocked out eventually. So like the first challenge is like half of them get knocked out. And then it gets slimmer and slimmer and slimmer, and then it's like basically 10 people, or 4 people competing against each other at the end, and it's I don't know, it's a really fun show. I had a good time watching it. After the first 1 or 2, I was like, I'm not sure I'm hooked, and then like by like the 3rd show, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm in. This is fun. So, and then reading, I burned through the Burning God, so the 3rd book in the R.F. Kuang Poppy Wars series. Super good. Really enjoy that series. I think you guys all read it. No,
I have not. I have not done. Yeah, I have not done the Poppy War series.
Okay.
I did Babel, but that's on my list at some point here because everybody, you guys have all talked about it so much. So
yeah, super good. Really enjoyed it. And then Ty, I think you reignited Red Rising in me, so I was like, okay, well then I'm gonna read that next, and I'm almost done. I know 2 books doesn't sound like a lot of reading, but for me that's a lot of reading. Usually I can like do a book a month or so, because I don't read a ton. But I burned through Red Rising. I think it's been a week and a half or so. So yeah, that's pretty quick for me. So
yeah, I'm liking it. I'm trying to like space it out. I think I'm done with the first 3 of the 6.
Nice.
So one question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Red Rising, did you find the first hour or two painfully slow?
Yeah, I was totally on board with, yeah, you would kind of mention that the beginning was a little slow, and I was kind of feeling that too. And I'm glad you had said to me that, hey, it gets better, just stick with it. Because yeah, all of a sudden you hit this point and you're like, oh, stuff's happening now. Like it's gonna and then it's kind of snowballs into the awesome part of the story.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they set it up. Like, the whole beginning makes sense that it is, uh, that they kind of tell that story to begin. But um, yeah, no, it did start a little slow, but it's really got my attention right now. So
Nice.
yeah.
Troy, do you wanna dive into your list, or should I just hit mine?
You can hit yours. Go for it.
All right. So watching Last of Us, watched, no longer watching. Have you guys both finished? No?
No, I
Okay.
want to push through
Okay.
to do the yeah, I don't know what I have. I have like 3 or so left. Yeah, to push through. So
Okay. No comments. I watched The Last of Us. I'm watching Vikings Valhalla season 2, a few episodes in on that. I don't know why I like those Viking shows. Valhalla is pretty cool. It covers Leif Erikson. It's fun. Um, and then reading. I'm reading a lot. I think I'm in the midst of the most books that I've had going at once, maybe ever. And they're not all on the list, but I read Morningstar, the Red Rising book 3. I read Essex Dogs, which is historical fiction by Dan Jones. He hosts like a castle show on Netflix, and he's a historian. It's about a mercenary group of soldiers in the 1300s in the first battles of the 100 Years' War between England and France, when the English king invades to reclaim the land that he sees as his. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like Northmen of Abercrombie's like fantasy world, but set amongst a like this happened, like historical record of these battles exists. And um they get into some of the characters. It's good. I don't know if I'd recommend it to everyone, because it's a historian telling a fictional story. And he takes some liberties with the history, and he talks a little bit about that, but it's enjoyable. I liked it. um I'm going to skip this next one because I want to talk a little bit more about it. But I'm currently listening to The Bone Hunters, which is the Malazan book 6. So I've been listening to that as I drive and paint. I'm like 24 hours into the 42 hours or so of that book. um, Remembering how massive they are, but really, really liking it. I'm reading another Sandman Slim book, Kill City Blues. I think that's the 6th book in that series. And then I started reading. So Lee Bardugo, she did Shadow and Bone, which is the Netflix series. She also released her 2nd book in the series. The first one is called Leth House. It's like modern day supernatural. So the secret societies at Yale, like Skull and Bones and others, are actually magical societies. And there's a 9th house. That's the name. It's 9th house, and it is Leth House is the name of them. But they monitor the other ones and make sure they're not breaking rules and hurting innocent people. So they're kind of like the watchdogs. But each secret society is like a magical house that does different rituals and things. So I guess you'd call it like dark academia, or like I don't know what the genre is, but it's pretty interesting. And then others, and then I did read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. And to describe it as a genre is very hard, but it is a book about love and loss and friendship and the creative process. And it is like there were a couple times I had to just stop reading because of like the emotional like moments in the book, but it touched me like deeply. Like I had some very like emotional responses to like parts of the book. And it's not even that I identified with the characters or like the video game, like that they're game designers writing like video games and coding and um but it just captures like the human experience in ways that I don't remember having seen like in a book. Highly recommend. I'd probably give it a 6 out of 5 if I could on Goodreads, but it was one of the best journeys I've had while reading a book in a very long time. So, Troy, have you read? I feel like you may have seen it or thought about reading it, or
Oh yeah, it's on my list because I saw it recommended. It came up on a few of my, I think it's a BookBub, one of the things that I kind of follow. And so yeah, I put it on my list of like when I need a kind of a palate cleanser, kind of a different different feel for
Yeah.
book to dive into. So yeah, glad to hear that there was joy because some of those I'm always like, are they popular because they're popular? Or are they popular because they're good, right? And so it's
Yeah, and it's not a palate cleanser. Like you need a palate. Like this is
Mm.
a palate. Like you're
Yep.
gonna clean your palate and you're gonna fill it up reading tomorrow
Yeah.
and tomorrow and tomorrow. And it's
Oh,
one of
that's
the
good.
coolest book titles that references Shakespeare that you'll ever find.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the speech from
Yeah.
Macbeth, and it's relevant to the story as well. But
Oh man! All right, let's figure out where that slots in between all the other 4 billion books that are on my to-do list here.
yeah, I mean it's slotted in. It's very good, but it's definitely like out of the wheelhouse for what I usually. It's
Yeah.
not even close to fantasy or sci-fi or like it is. It's closer to like a love story than it is anything else, but also not. So that's what I've been reading.
All right, I will run through my list quickly here. I dove through quickly Children of Memory, which is the third book in the Children of Time series by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Again, each one of those books has been a little bit different, but they kind of have some of the same characters that run through. Again, very, I wouldn't say hard sci-fi, but sci-fi, and it just kind of the whole idea of like non-human characters with that, because there's some interesting, a lot of it's how evolution has kind of come up. So there are people who used to be human maybe in there or something else. So again, that's kind of thing I always, for some reason, I kind of gravitate to books that have kind of non-human protagonists around things, whether it's AI or other species, as might be the case here. So I want to do any spoilers if people have not read Children of Time, which is one of my favorites. So I think it was really good. I mean, was it super great? No, maybe not, but it was really good, and I mean, different enough, and exploring some different things around that, and some, again, in that same genre. So if you like Children of Time, you're gonna like that one around that. I am, as we mentioned, working my way through Last of Us. Also working my way through Vox Machina season 2 on Amazon. I know it's been out for a little while. That's been kind of my, if I'm painting or something else, I'll have that on and working my way through, enjoying that. Again, that's so much fun around that. And then again, I had to get through Children of History because The End and the Death, book number 8 in the Siege of Terra, volume 1. They said there are 8. There's really 9 because Abnett couldn't get it all done in one volume, and I don't know how, because I don't know how many pages this thing is. It's already a book stop for volume 1. But working through the end, what's Horus doing? What's the Emperor doing? We all know how it's going to end, but it's pretty cool to see how all the pieces that they've been laying out for 10 plus years are all kind of laying in there, and it's Abnett. So, I'm super, I'm not very objective when it comes to that. So, and that's like, I don't know what that book is. 16 hours, I don't know, 16, 18 hours. I'm always listening to it because I enjoy the performance. I think it's I'm gonna say Jonathan Keeler, whatever his name. I can't remember what who's the guy who's narrating it. Is pretty good. And then finally, I brought again for YouTube people. I just got this. Another procurement is the Legend of Drizzt Visual Dictionary, and just I got this, was it yesterday, the day before? Really, really love it. All high quality art, and part of it is just the nostalgia. So I don't know where you guys are on your Bob Salvador Drizzt, character for whatever, back 25 years ago. Like that was one of the best books to get into D&D. The Crystal Shard.
The Crystal Shard, yeah,
is pretty good. Although I've tried again, and so this book is great because it's got all it describes the characters. It has all the really cool art of the monsters. You can kind of relive it and experience it, because I can't go back to those books. Like I did not, like, once was it the Sundering and that, like, that whole second half of the thing, I don't know, just kind of lost a little bit for me around some of that. But it's interesting to see how the story kind of continued in some of that in that. So, and I've tried to go back, and even Crystal Shard, I feel like maybe doesn't quite hold up to what you remember. So I've just kind of left them as like, they're great to remember. I love this, in my mind, and the story is that, and this book is a great way to revisit that without kind of rereading the novels. Cause like I said, I don't know that I could reread the novels anymore or around some of that. Cause the characters, and that's what I think the characters are what everybody identified with, and the cool monsters and things like that in the plot and some of that. So, so that book, I'm really enjoying that book for that aspect of it, just because there's a lot of nostalgia there and a lot of things there. So I would recommend, if you're a Drizzt fan, I had it basically, I saw it when it was whatever announced how many months ago, and I literally did the pre-order on Amazon. So it came the day it came out, it showed up at my door. And I forgot about it. I'm like, what's coming? Like, why is this? What's this shipment from Amazon? And was pleasantly surprised. So enjoying that. So that's about it for me, I think. So I'm sure I'm reading something else, but nah, not that exciting.
Yeah, I feel like I left 3 or 4 books as I look around at bookmarks and different things. I need to stop doing that and just read one thing at a time.
You guys are crazy. I can't do multiple at the same time.
It's how I read more, honestly. Like,
yeah,
because I can mix it up, and I have books for different tastes and like moments. I'm watching way less TV than ever before. Like the last 3 months, I don't think, beyond Last of Us, I'm not watching more than maybe another hour of television during the week. Which is, I don't know. I like that. I like that I'm not losing hours to various shows. But yeah. Well, I think that gets us out of the library, and we're gonna do like the car wash style approach to the Weekender, where we just kind of briefly touch on it, and then kind of the Adepticon preview. Likely our next episode will be on the heels of Adepticon. We'll talk about what we did, what we played. So we don't want to talk too much about it now, but we'll try to kind of cover the event coverage and the event preview all in one go here. So hold on to your seats, buckle up, get yourself a fresh drink, and we'll dive in. So the BoD Playin and Slayin board game Weekender is now something that we've done 3 times, I believe. Looking back at my Airbnb history, the first one was at the villa in kind of the Driftless Plains region, western part of the state. The last 2 have been in Oshkosh. So we rented a house right on Lake Winnebago, across the street from the lake, which is pretty cool. I had a guy ask me if the campground was still open when I was unpacking my car. I thought maybe he'd come back to try to murder us later. But it was, kind of remote. I mean, there's nothing really close to it. GPS didn't even really realize where it was. It sent us to like the backfield, and you had to go turn the corner and drive up the street a little bit. But it was, it was a lake house, right? 4 bedrooms. We spent 98% of our time that wasn't sleeping in the dining room / kitchen at the big table playing games. House is pretty cool though. Like, I mean, it's what we needed. Nice big kitchen, comfortable beds, a few bathrooms, and a big table.
It's all we needed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a vacation property somewhere in Wisconsin that you want us to check out, let us know. We'll plan the next weekend. Or I tossed out some dates for September. I didn't get a response from the guys, but hopefully we'll be doing another one here later this year. What we played. So we started off with a roll and write, Dungeons, Dice, and Danger that Troy and I had played previously, but showed it to Josh and Bryce. That was kind of the icebreaker, I think. Like we sat down and explored a dungeon by rolling dice. I think with 4 players it was more deadly. Like you're obviously generating more numbers, so you're trying to fill in, and we also forgot a rule that
we did forget a couple
us.
rules that didn't help. Yeah, they kind of made it a little more difficult to finish the game. But
yeah. And then from there we kind of, I'm pretty sure, dove in the Frosthaven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Like, and played a ton of that.
Like the whole rest of the weekend.
No.
We set it up though. We played a scenario, had some fun. Then we're like, let's leave it set up. And then I think we played the next day before we played Crisis Protocol. I feel like we did like 2 or 3 scenarios in a row. And then we set up our big kind of large scale multiple city blocks, and did kind of a custom narrative scenario where we were competing for one objective, and then it was knocking out or killing models close to the objective scored you points. So we did have like actual victory conditions, but ended up just being a big brawl in the middle of the table, other than Carnage and Venom, who called each other out and fought on a rooftop nowhere near the objective. But that was a lot of fun to set up all the terrain. I'm sure we'll be able to throw some pictures out there potentially when we put the episode up. Any Crisis Protocol highlights from that you guys remember?
I would just say the terrain was it's so much fun to play on a fully painted like that's why we play miniature games, right? Like and what you guys have done, because I didn't do anything with the terrain on that, but what you guys have done to build those terrains, I guess I supplied a couple of the tiles. Maybe that's my contribution. but it's so much fun. Again, you don't care win, lose, whatever. It's just about creating some story and looking at the mailbox that Josh painted, or the ice machine, or whatever else. So I just love that. It was just so over the top in terms of such a cool terrain and miniature board to play on. So
my favorite shot, my favorite picture was the spider villains looking at Punisher, and the Punisher was in the middle of the street, and then you could see Ty's awesome garage in the background, or the auto body shop, or whatever it's going to be. You just see that it just looked so cool. Yeah, having all those visuals and playing on the terrain, and just so fun. I had a blast.
And then that kill stealing bitch Black Widow around, finishing off everybody that was left with 1 or 2 damage left.
She would swing in,
couldn't figure out a way to kill, and then she just come running over and pop somebody for 1 damage and get credit for the kill.
So good.
Not cool, Bryce. Not cool.
I forgot about that.
Then we played Zombicide, Dead or Alive. I feel like we died. I don't know if that's really true. No, we won, right?
We won.
No, we played twice, I think.
Twice, yep.
Yeah.
The first one we got wiped out, and then the second one we finally
we had a plan. We're like, we have a plan. Yeah.
And then I'm fairly certain we decided to go back to Frosthaven and played that a couple more times. I feel like that's what happened. It became a time warp of Frosthaven.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sounds
well,
right.
we finished each night with and then Friday into Saturday morning, and then Saturday as long as we could go was
Stay awake. Yeah.
Yep.
We built a boat, but we'll talk more about
Yeah.
Frosthaven and BoD McBoatface when Bryce is back. So games played. I mean, what was your guys' favorite game? What did you enjoy playing the most? Not a lot of variety, but
I liked. I don't know. It's between Frosthaven and Marvel. Those were top for me. But they're both. I mean, it's like 1A and 1B. I can't really tell you which one's which.
Yeah, I mean, they're so. In some ways, they're different, right? I mean, like I said, I think the Marvel was such a spectacle that was really cool. But I think the fact that we got to play kind of the longer term of, because that's where I think Frosthaven. I don't want to go too deep, right? That's where Frosthaven I feel shines is that you're spending almost not as much, but pretty close, like a lot of time in the off adventure things in the town, where they call it the town phase or whatever else, like
the outpost phase,
phase, building things up, opening things up, or telling more of the story, almost the RPG side of this, and the fact that we got to do that kind of through the weekend was probably the highlight of that, because there's something to be said. Again, not that but like the combat scenario of Frosthaven, it's something, but it's it's good, but it's probably not. It's plus everything else.
It's just a part of the game, which is so cool.
Yeah.
Like the actual gameplay of the scenario is just a part of the experience of the game.
Yeah, it's real good. It's really.
And I want to again. I didn't buy Dead or Alive, but I don't want to short sell that either. I think it's a good.
Yeah.
They continue to tweak that rule set, and it was fun because it was fun to play it, and it was cool to see what they did. And again, the fact that it was we got out by the kind of the skin of our teeth, that's the whole kind of is always the good. And we played with 4. We played with 4.
4.
Yep.
Yeah, 4. So we played on hard mode too. So yeah.
Plus all the painted minis.
And all the you
really made it. That made it so much more fun.
I don't know if I can't play a zombie. I'm such an elitist, right? I don't know that I could play. I don't know what I could play as zombie. If somebody came and dumped their plain plastic zombicide on the table,
get that out of here.
I would I'd be like, well, and what else can we play, right? It just
You call up Ty and you go, "Hey Ty, can you bring over your
bring over your right?" Or we're like, "Oh, guess what? Or we're gonna play a Black Plague, or we're gonna play whatever version I have painted because we're not playing that." So
right. Just a few other things too about we opted to do the pizza Friday night, which was Troy brought some Papa Murphy's, so that helped just to have something to throw in, do quick. Bryce did his world famous breakfast burritos, and then a breakfast quesadilla attempt was made.
Those are great.
We ate enough at breakfast. We didn't really do lunch, and then Bryce made pasta, a nice spaghetti dinner, and then Josh had leftover potatoes because he doesn't like noodles, which I'd forgotten about Josh, but I remembered about Josh.
It was delicious though. It was perfect. I loved it.
Then I brought the mead that Stu gave me when I was down at NashCon. So we had some mead on Saturday night. Thanks, Stu. That hit the spot. It was delicious.
So good.
We didn't remember to bring beer. Nobody brought beer. So I think Saturday morning, you two ran out and got beer along with salt. I think pepper and salt and beer was the grocery list.
Yep.
Because the Airbnb didn't have any salt and pepper, which was so weird.
Oh, and coffee. I think we needed coffee.
Oh, and coffee. Yeah, we went to that place was hopping because Saturday was the big day of everybody was out on the lake
Spearfish and sturgeon.
Spearfishing sturgeon. So like we walked in and like, yeah, it's just the little whatever it was, Quick Trip or whatever.
Yeah, it's like 8, 9 in the morning. Something.
And it was like, it was hopping and all the locals, talking about whatever. It was pretty funny.
And then Sunday we kind of packed up, headed out, but we went in the downtown Oshkosh to New Moon Cafe, little coffee / breakfast. They did some breakfast burritos and pastries. And then from there, it was right across the street from Adventure Games, which was really cool. So once 11 o'clock rolled around and Adventure Games opened, we walked over there and kind of perused. I'm going to be upset with myself. I think it was Chris, one of the owners that we chatted with a little bit. And I bought some paints and you guys bought some Crisis Protocol stuff. And it was just a cool hangout before we all got in the cars and called it a wrap. But also Sunday, Josh 3D printed a bunch of award trophies and he had us vote by secret ballot. And we did an award ceremony with Olympic like theme music and the handing of they're on my trophy shelf along with like my like Holy Wars and my Bruce City, my dagger from NashCon. They're up there. They have a spot of honor.
Yes.
With my other hardware.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I do not have mine. I don't have mine down here with I have them up in my other my work office, kind of on my bookshelf up there at the moment. They're not here, but yes, thank you. Those are pretty cool.
So, other than any final thoughts, what do we do next time? Do we do anything different, or do we keep it just as is and keep doing the Weekender with like the pattern that works? Do we extend it a day? Do we what's next? Where do we go from here with our own board game event?
I feel like we're checking a lot of boxes. Like we have it pretty dialed in. I don't know. Maybe another day. I don't know.
Like that Thursday night and then all day Friday and Saturday gaming would be pretty cool if we're really gonna go big. You become a 4-day convention. I mean, that's what you do. That sets the framework for us to become BoDCon.
Yep.
That could be good. I could be talked into that pretty easily.
Could be Frosthaven Friday.
Yeah. Whoa. Yep. You have just like 16 hours of Frosthaven.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think we didn't. Go ahead, Josh.
I was just gonna say, instead of going, hey, should we bump this game for Frosthaven? It would be like, should we bump this day for Frosthaven?
Yeah. You get some of your light gaming out of the way Thursday night, and Friday morning, bam, it's Frosthaven go time. Coffee and Frosthaven, because we'll still be playing Frosthaven by the time the next one rolls around.
Yep.
180 scenarios or whatever craziness it is. All right. Well, something to think about. Any other final thoughts on the Weekender? I mean, it's our little thing. Obviously, listeners, it's just the four of us get together and spend roughly 48 hours playing games and hanging out together. A little escape from the real world.
Gather your friends and you do it too. That'd be my recommendation.
Yeah. And it's not, I don't know. It's not, again, something not unique to us. I think we stole it from some other people. I know we knew Carl Tuttle and some of the guys out there have their, what do they call, Game In or something? They called their weekend or something like that. So, and it's just, I think maybe until we did it, we didn't realize how much fun it is.
Well, it's the best part of going to a gaming convention where you're just hanging out with your friends, playing games when things slow down like that. At the end of the day, that's why I love going to conventions. It's not walking around a vendor hall or playing in ticketed events. It's the social, seeing my friends, playing games. And when that's the focus of the weekend, results kind of speak for themselves. All right, let's talk Adepticon. Speaking of conventions and why we go, playing games with our friends. Although Troy and your case, you're going now because you're a premier GM of letting people play your game.
I don't let people play my game. Like, people come and they sell it out in like 6 minutes or something ridiculous like that, and we're running more than we ever have. But
Yeah, and then people request side bookings,
yep,
which jeopardize the chance for your friends to get you to run a game for them and, you know, Basement of Death members.
there's still a friends and family slot. So
All right. I'm watching for you, Carl Tuttle. You can't steal Troy away just because you're a celebrity with a name recognition.
Yeah.
So Troy, you're running. Let's talk about it though, just as a preview. You're running Wednesday night. Terrace, the Geek Nation welcome dinner event. Three tables, kind of condensed version. What's the time slot? Like hour and a half?
Yeah, we're like a little over an hour. I think we're running like ideally 3 slots, like a little over an hour each. We're gonna have us. We'll probably loop you in too, Ty, if you're around, to kind of help people and help navigate through some of that. But it should be fun. I mean, the whole idea is like they just like to, that group.
Yeah.
They get dinner and get to play some games, and we think we've done something kind of fun. That feels a little bit like it kind of whets your appetite, hopefully, for the big game around some of that, and people will enjoy it. And it was a fun problem to solve. Like, again, constraints are always kind of cool for creativity, right? Like when John and I had to figure out, all right, here's what we want to do. Here's the time slots. Here's the equipment. Here's what, we tried to kind of not have to build a whole bunch of new stuff. We wanted to kind of use what we had. So it was a fun challenge. And we think we've got it figured out, but we'll see. We will talk to you guys on the other side and let you know how that went. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. Again, we got to thank Terrace for inviting us over to do that. And it'll be fun to, again, get to hang out with him a little bit too in that group. So, and then we turn it around, and Thursday we will set up the big game that's right behind me right now, and kind of like, basically I set it up here, and then we pack it all up to make sure that we pack it all up. Make sure that everything that's on behind me on the table makes it down to Schaumburg. And then we will start we're going to run Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this year. So we're going to run a Thursday night slot, and then 2 slots on Thursday or on Friday and Saturday. And there might be a couple other friends and family or guest slots that we run in between some of that too. But that'll be it.
You can book Space Hulk games at spacehulk.opentable.com. Each seat costs you $30. That's Ty Tepfer, PayPal at Ty Tepfer. Or my Cash App. I'll put the link in the show notes, and we'll get you set to play with Troy after hours at Adepticon. Check it out. Are you doing anything else? Like,
I did not. No, I did not. I use, sometimes I'll look for a hobby class, but I didn't think there was any on Sunday. There wasn't anything that really jumped out at me around that. And then I just figured there's always plenty to do. So I didn't feel that. I think, I don't know, Ben might be, there are a few, I'm trying to think, the Snap Ship guys, which we saw at Gen Con, and I still haven't played. They're over here. I'm pointing over here in my cabinet that I haven't even opened. If you ever seen the Snap, I think I talked about in the Snap Ships. It's kind of like giant scale X-Wing kind of things. Basically, you build the ships out of components, and they all, each of the parts like have rules and like cards and stuff, and then it kind of uses like there's like templates for like X-Wing type movement and battles, but it was a lot. And then there's a power management system for the ship and like that. So kind of a cool little, fairly light but a little fun Starship combat game that Ben and I got into at Gen Con. And so they're going to be at Adepticon, and I think they're running some demos. So I might do a walk up on there. I think Ben might have grabbed a ticket for something like that too. And I think Ben's doing a Marvel Crisis Protocol like scenario thing maybe on Sunday. I can't remember that or not. But I'm not going to do anything. I may just kind of walk up or hang out and look at that kind of stuff.
All right, Josh, how about you? Did you end up signing up for anything? I'm just excited you're coming, but what's your
Yeah,
ACON plan?
yeah. So I was sort of being a loser because I didn't get a hotel slot at the convention center. So I was kind of bummed about Adepticon, and I was like, grumbly. And I found out that my kids' Easter break starts that weekend. And so then I was sort of talking with the wife, like, "Hey, what if we go down? We'll go down Friday night, and you guys can stay near the what is it, the Oakbrook Mall? Is it Oakbrook?
Mm.
Yeah, whatever it is, the
Yeah.
mall that's right there. So yeah, I booked a hotel right near the mall. They can go to Legoland, they can do the mall, they can do whatever, all this stuff around there. And I can do Adepticon and have fun. So I didn't really book anything because I just did this a couple weeks ago. So I'm probably just gonna hang out by the Space Hulk and try to help out if I can, and drift over by Ty if you're playing in the tournament or whatever. Or that's Thursday, isn't it?
No, team tournament is Saturday, Sunday.
Oh,
Sunday,
oh yeah. So I'll probably swing over by you guys, see what you're up to.
Yeah, if you want to ring for a round, you can
Yeah.
put on my T-shirt and be me because I don't
Nice.
know that I want to play five 3-hour games.
Awesome. But yeah, no, I'm just coming to hang out and experience experience the ride
Do the Playin and Slayin steakhouse dinner one night.
for sure. Yeah, I'm in.
All right. Well, I'm doing a couple events. So I'm doing a airbrushing terrain with Caleb Wiesenbach of CK Studios on Friday for it's like a 4-hour class. I'm pretty excited. I'm also fairly nervous because I'm such an amateur with an airbrush. I'm a little worried I'll be like unsure of what to do. So we'll find out if it's beginner friendly.
It is. It is. It's what you know what class it is? Which one?
It's the airbrushing terrain.
Oh, I don't know.
Like,
Okay, so I've
it's
never
a
done that
terrain
one. Yeah, I don't think I've ever done
class.
that one. But I think you'll be good. Yeah, Kat and Caleb are so good. I mean, I think I've done 2 of them, and you kind of come out, you just have some you do like you do get that confidence then, like, all right, I'm not a total idiot. Like somebody who's done this professionally has kind of showed me the ropes, and then you feel a
Yeah.
little better. Again, I'm not, wouldn't say I'm ever super skilled, but it at least it feels like I'm not doing things completely wrong maybe with the airbrush anymore. But although I still catch myself doing that once in a while. But
Yeah, I'm hopeful I get some tricks just so I can
Yeah.
get some of the 3D printed stuff that I've got for both Age of Sigmar. I've got a ton of like buildings and then the apartments and a few other stuff for Crisis Protocol just to build out the collections. I think the airbrushes, after hand painting brick by brick on the garages, I really got to figure out a quicker method for painting terrain. So hopefully that'll help.
They did look good though.
Then so I was chatting with Raph the other day. Raph Cordero, he'll be at Adepticon hanging out kind of for the preview Wednesday night, then Thursday and Friday, but not there Saturday, Sunday. So Thursday, Raph and I are going to play some Crisis Protocol, just like a pickup game. We'll try to find a table to play on and hang out. And then I got conned into playing in the team tournament. I was going to do the Dawnbringer, the 1,000-point like easy 3-game kind of beginner Age of Sigmar tournament. But then Dr. Gabe and Brian Nero and Matt Danner strong-armed me against my will, signed me up for the team tournament. It was like a coordinated text message campaign against me. I felt like an election was coming up with the text that I was getting. Like, so a little pivot from the Dawnbringer to do the team tournament. We are definitely, so there's been a lot of talk of Crom and Conan, and our team themed around the riddle of steel. Troy, are you familiar with that?
No.
So Brian sent this, and I don't know if it's from Robert E. Howard or what, but evidently the riddle of steel: fire and wind come from the sky, from the gods of the sky, but Crom is your god. Crom, and he lives in the earth. Once giants lived in the earth, Conan, and in the darkness of chaos they fooled Crom, and they took from him the enigma of steel. So we're giants and chaos. We're Danner's doing Khorne with a bloodthirster. Brian's doing giants. Gabe and I are doing Varangard and other chaos stuff. So I think Brian had T-shirts made for us with Conan the Barbarian on them and Crom. So we're going for it. Brian said chaos and giants. It's all there in the opening moments. So I'm assuming that is from like the beginning of Conan, where he's being told this legend, the riddle of steel. But should be a good time. Get to play with a couple of doctors. I told Gabe, whenever he's my team partner, I'm going to tell our opponent that if they have any medical questions, they should ask, because he's a doctor, and they should treat it like office hours. And then when Brian is my teammate, I'm going to tell them he's a doctor, but not that kind of doctor. So if you have any comparative literature to discuss, or questions for your thesis or anything else, he's the one to talk to. And then when I play with Danner, we're just going to probably get drunk and roll dice. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. We're hoping we end our games early every time. That's the real plan here, is try not to play more than 2 or 3 turns.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I feel like you'll succeed.
I think so. I tell you, it's that Sunday I'm worried about. Like after our usual shenanigans on Saturday night, and then having to play 2-3 hour team games of Age of Sigmar Sunday morning. Whew, we'll see.
That's right. That's why Josh, you just got to call. Josh has got to be on standby. Like, hey, I need to tap in. So,
yeah, I need a round 4 ringer.
Yeah.
I don't know about Sunday. I don't think I can do Sunday.
Here are my rules, Josh. Roll dice.
Yeah.
Bring Zach along. He can be your dice runner.
There you go.
So Adepticon should be fun. We always have a great time. Some good events. Catch up with some old friends, make some new friends. The usual. Come find us. We'll be wearing Playin and Slayin and BoD shirts. Red or blue hoodies are our big thing. So should be a good time at the Renaissance in Schaumburg, Illinois, next weekend. Wednesday it starts now, or Tuesday? I think Wednesday. I don't think there's any Tuesday night activities.
Well, though, people start showing up Tuesday. I will be there Tuesday. A lot of stuff, and then I think there's a few unofficial events or semi-official events that start on Wednesday now, but that'll be good.
Good
and
times.
Then speaking, and I don't know, as we roll into our end, speaking of t-shirts, like the one Ty is sporting there, we also have the BoD Playin and Slayin other one too. I have found ways to try and make those available to our people who are not as local. So I will try and get a link out so that people can kind of order those if they want one and get it shipped to your home all there. So hopefully they don't run too bad. Hopefully they're under $30, $25-$30 at the most, I think, of what it'll be. But hopefully, if you want one, I know people that are local see me. I have a bunch that I can give to you too. So, and I will probably hand some out at Adepticon. But for people that aren't local or listeners or whatever, I will try and make the links available and get it out to people. So
amazing.
Rep your favorite podcast.
Yep.
And now, what I've been waiting all episode to reveal is the charity army before we wrap. So we reviewed listener ideas. We took feedback from, the experts. We looked at, studied the draft boards, kind of did a tournament style elimination of all the different armies that we could possibly do. And we determined that the 2023 Playin and Slayin Charity Army Hobby Challenge project is going to be dinosaurs. Seraphon. So in the next episode or two, we'll go over kind of the initial kind of here's what we're going to be painting. We'll start getting some hobby shorts with Bryce as we move into the year. Each month, trying to advance through a stage of the 2 units that each of us are gonna paint. But it will be dinosaurs, which is cool because there's a mix of new models, there's some old models, and then I'd also like to do like a list building episode where maybe we get, Brendan and Dan on to like talk Seraphon with the Cubic Shenanigans guys or something. But we'll be making our way through that, and then find an appropriate event or time later in the year to do the donations towards a charity of choice and enter to win the army. So very excited about that. It was actually fun kind of planning and talking about it, and I've got my painting mojo like back, like 100%. I'm really enjoying. After we are done here tonight, even though it's late, I'm off work tomorrow, so I'm going to go finish up a Vanguard and then paint more tomorrow. Any other thoughts before we go to the end of the show?
I think we nailed it.
Did we nail it? Sloppy choppy.
Sloppy choppy.
Gotta
Trademark that too.
Gotta finish him. All right. Adepticon's coming up. No other events. That's it. We'll talk more about other events at another point in time.
That's the only one right in front of us right now. That's all we can see.
On YouTube, like and subscribe. Please comment, share, do everything you can. We're we just enjoy making the show. We do it for people that like listening. We've made some really good friends, met some really cool people, and want to keep doing that. So otherwise, if you find us on iTunes or Spotify or wherever, review and download. Hit us up at Playin and Slayin Show on Twitter. Our emails are all, name, Ty, Josh, Troy, intern for Bryce we got to get Bryce a real at basementofdeath.com email just so people can bother him. Or check out basementofdeath.com. I'm sure Troy will have some cool supplemental Space Hulk stuff up. There's old stuff, but I don't know if the plan is any new stuff post Adepticon.
All the rules will end up there at some point. So,
but thanks for listening. Episode 68 was a fun one. I'm really looking forward for episode 70. Our next episode.
Wait. No.
I wanted to see the look on Josh's face. Keep the dice rolling, the drinks on ice, and no matter what, keep playing and slaying.
For more shows like this, check out the Goonhammer Media Network. More info at media.goonhammer.com.
Live from the BoD studio. In a time before digital recording, there was a show where 3 guys and their friends sat around a microphone and talked about games, booze, and the art of motorcycle maintenance.
Ooh,
Nice.
there's a throwback.
Good
It
call.
is Playin and Slayin.